Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Corner Office. We're back, man. I mean, we've took a little bit of a break just because we were having fun doing summer things. I was up in Maine with Jack for a week, and we just had too much fun, so we decided not to record an episode of the show. But we're happy to be back because there is a lot that's happened over the past few days that we really have to address, especially in the NBA sphere. And then we'll have a little game for you guys at the end of the episode today. But I mean, just get the people up to speed. What's going on right now?
What isn't going on right now? I feel like
Yeah.
every year we kind of reinvent the wheel with the best NBA free agency. And we were supposed to take the drama out of it about 10 years ago. However,
Yeah.
like the NBA designed rules in order to take the
Yeah.
drama out of free agency, and somehow it's just gone the complete opposite way. I feel like everyone has either re-signed with the team that have been playing for, or we've seen big free agents move in. I feel like we do kind of say this every year, but this year it has been just an absolute, storm of moves.
So I think the most logical way to start this off is to talk about the teams we think have like vastly improved over the course of free agency. Some teams that you should keep your eye on if you're a casual fan, and some teams that you're kind of just looking at through the NBA draft and through free agency, which also happened the other day. But this draft class is just not great. But the summer league is happening, so that's also something to pay attention to for any of the fans who are looking for more basketball to watch. And then some of those teams where you're just kind of like, I mean, what are they doing? I think the obvious one that jumps off the page, the biggest deal that we saw was obviously the Paul George move. So for those of you who aren't up to speed, Paul George has signed with the Philadelphia 76ers, bouncing from the Los Angeles Clippers back into the Eastern Conference to team up with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and a bunch of other free agent signings like Caleb Martin. And then their draft picks like Jared McCain and other guys that people have really high expectations for. And he signed on a 4-year, $212 million deal. And Eric Gordon signed there as well. So what's the direction of this team? It feels very win now in order to do this. I mean, I think they've kind of been at that stage for a couple of years now. But making a move for Paul George, obviously it's a massive free agency splash. You're investing a ton of money into the fact that you need all three of those star players to be healthy. But at the moment, I see them as the biggest threat to the Celtics, to dethrone the Celtics in the Eastern Conference.
Well, so I think that they had to make a bunch of moves in order to make Joel Embiid happy.
I agree.
Because he wasn't going to stay. He's 31 years old now. Hasn't gotten past the second round of the playoffs. They had to do something in order to keep their best player in town. And I think that they made all of the right moves. I know that we got into kind of a big discussion once Paul George signed, and you were like, this makes them an instant threat. I didn't believe so, to be honest with you. I don't think that an NBA roster that's 3 guys deep can win a championship. But then they went out and they made quality signings across the board. Getting rid of Buddy Hield, who didn't necessarily fit into their system. Bringing in a guy like Caleb Martin, who is a bona fide Celtics killer. Bringing in a guy like Eric Gordon, who can just shoot the lights out. And then drafting someone like Jared McCain. For them, it was the perfect pick. Slip to, what did he go at? 18? I think that most people were
15.
projecting him as
he went at 15?
I think he
went at 15, yeah.
And it just adds like another layer of shooting that is absolutely vital when you have a guy like Joel Embiid who's going to spend most of the game in the low post. So what the moves that they made not only were quality players, but were the exact needs that they had to address in order to become a winning team. And I think that this is the first time in my life that I have looked at the Philadelphia 76ers and said they are a legitimate threat to win the Eastern Conference.
I think we've said it before. Like, I think the Ben Simmons years were years where you looked at the 76ers and you were like, okay, those are really good teams. Those are teams that forced the Celtics
still had to beat LeBron, though, and they never could.
But to be fair, I mean, the Sixers have been a team that has forced the Celtics to 7 games a couple of times. I think the biggest narrative with them, aside from the Paul George thing, is that they offloaded a massive contract in Tobias Harris in free agency. They didn't even attempt to re-sign him, I would assume. I mean, his signing over Jimmy Butler was one of the worst moves a front office has made in years. And then you retain a lot of your players that you needed to retain, like Nicholas Batum is coming back.
Kelly Oubre.
Kelly Oubre's coming back, right?
You
So you have good two-way wings that are going to be good defenders, decent shooters, that you can surround this star power lineup with. I think when you and I were discussing this earlier, we said that the biggest thing that this team is going to have to go through is availability, because the best ability is availability, and obviously Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid do not have the best resume for staying on the court. And that's probably going to be their biggest X factor going into this year, because I do think that they have the most star power in the Eastern Conference. I don't think they're the best team. I think the Celtics still retain, with all the players that they re-signed, they literally re-signed everybody, which is exactly what I think the front office should have done from a Celtics fan perspective. That being said, we're going to be way over the luxury tax in like 2 or 3 years now, and that concerns me a little bit. But you had to go all in with the roster that you have, and I still think our roster is better than Philadelphia, top to bottom, but they have more star power than we do now. It's just a question of, can that star power stay healthy consistently, and what will that look like for Nick Nurse, who is a really good coach and has a good resume of coaching stars.
does he have a good resume of coaching stars? I mean, the only time that we would have seen it was him having to balance out a young Pascal Siakam with Kawhi Leonard. But besides that, we haven't really been able to see him coach a really talented team. And
But
I think that it's going to be
he's
a
a
huge
great
test
coach.
for him. I
agree.
I think that we call him a great coach based off one legendary historic run.
Well, I just think X's and O's wise, he's been one of the best coaches in the NBA for a long time. Like,
I
don't
agree
know.
I agree that he's a good coach, but he also hasn't been tested with a team like this. And it's
I
very
agree.
easy to be a good coach when you have no expectations on your shoulders, because then the
Okay.
only option is to succeed.
Yep.
But I mean, you look at guys like Doc Rivers, who have been a good coach with some mediocre teams, and then goes to the 76ers and goes to the Bucks and just disappoints his expectations because they're so high. That doesn't
Yep.
mean he's a bad coach.
Yep. I don't disagree with that. I think that Doc Rivers, though, has a really long legacy of blowing massive leads,
Yeah,
which
I
is
mean
the
that's
problem with him.
fair
And
enough. But I
then you
guess
input him
that
on a Bucks team.
my overarching point is that this is a huge season for Nick Nurse to have to prove himself as a
Yeah, I
legitimate
don't disagree
NBA
with that.
great coach.
I don't disagree with that. And I just think that this Sixers team has now passed the threshold where they're going to be better than a Knicks team that also made a lot of free agency moves. They're going to be better than a Bucks team that's really done nothing and is really
You really
banking
think that
on.
they're a guaranteed better team than the Knicks?
Oh, I do think that.
A Knicks team that has been playing together all season?
Yes.
I think
Yes.
this Philadelphia team may struggle a little more than... I'm not saying they're going to be bad. I think that they may struggle a little more than people expect, because you are bringing in so many players who have to fit into a system. So it may take them a little while to get out of the gate. This New York Knicks team has been playing together for 8 seasons now, going back to Villanova. They
Okay,
are
fair.
going to be good out of the gate.
So let's talk about that move then. Mikal Bridges was shipped from the Brooklyn Nets to the New York Knicks for, what was it, 5 first-round picks in Bojan Bogdanovic.
Correct.
First and foremost, that's a lot of picks. I think it's too much in order. For me, it's too much to give to a team. But that being said, you do now reunite Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson, and Mikal Bridges, which is, a really big chemistry move. And then you sign OG Anunoby. I think the biggest issue with this Knicks team right now is the fact that they lost Isaiah Hartenstein. Someone who is really one of their biggest X factors in winning that Sixers series in the first place, right? He gets an offensive rebound in game 2 that passes it out. Dante DiVincenzo hits a top 3 that wins the game or sends it to overtime, and then they win the game in overtime. That being said, I don't think that the Knicks wanted to pay the 3-year $87 million to keep him. I think that's an overpay from Oklahoma City.
It's an overpay.
But Mitchell Robinson has had health issues for his entire career. So who's his backup, right? Who's the guy
I think
bringing in
I
to
think
play
that
center?
they need to go out and they need to re-sign Precious Achua immediately.
Okay, but
I
he's
don't
more
even
of a
think
power
he's-
forward. He's not even a center.
No, but he's a guy who can go in there and rebound the ball. And
Yeah, I don't disagree with
losing 11 rebounds a game in Hartenstein, you have to go out there and sign someone who can go get the rock.
So obviously, this Knicks team is very available. That's the biggest. Again, availability is the best ability. This team is very reliable. all the players play 40-something minutes a game. Josh Hart is a really like great Ironman candidate. Mikal Bridges has played like 470-something consecutive games. Like these guys are capable of playing an entire season, an entire 82 games. However, losing Hartenstein means that you need to find a big because Mitchell Robinson inevitably will have some sort of health issue that will cause him to miss a significant portion of time. And when that happens, your team is really small. I think you also have to do something with Julius Randle. I still don't see how you fit him into your team at the moment. Because who's he taking minutes from, right? Like what? I think it's clear that Jalen Brunson is the star of this team at this point. But I have absolutely no idea where Julius Randle is going to get his shots from, what position he's going to play. Is he going to start over Mikal Bridges? Is Mikal Bridges going to play the 2? Who's he going to start over? Is it going to be OG Anunoby? So, like, what's their starting lineup look like? For me, I think it's Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Julius Randle, and then a big. And then that means OG comes off the bench, or do you slide Josh Hart to the bench? Like, I just don't see how he fits into the system that they had, and I think they played really well without him.
And here's like my biggest issue with the whole move is, I mean, I agree with you. I think that like we still have another chapter in the Randall saga that we haven't quite seen yet.
Okay.
And I do have a bit of an issue with your availability point regarding the Knicks. If you want to talk about a team that's regular season good, you can talk about the Knicks all that you want. They'll be there all 82 games. But the second the playoffs start, it's 48 minutes a game for every single player. Yeah. Every single starter.
Right.
And that resulted
in a lot of health issues.
That resulted in everyone getting injured at the end of that Pacers series, including Jalen Brunson, Isaiah Hartenstein. The only player out there was Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. So I think that for Tibbs as a head coach, a philosophy has to change, and you have to get away from playing players so much, especially when your team is this deep. You should be able to control their minutes better. You need to find a spot for DiVincenzo in the rotation. You need to find a spot for OG Anunoby, ideally, and Randall, because if both those guys take like a bit of a backseat role, OG can give you 12 and Randall can give you 15 and 8. And then you can have a cohesive lineup as well. So I think that I mean, I don't want to just harp on coaches all episode. The Knicks will not be good unless Tom Thibodeau changes his coaching philosophy.
Okay.
All right, so let's switch gears here a little bit. Talk to me about your favorite free agency move that you have seen go down so far.
I don't know if I have a favorite per se. I think that the most interesting one for me is DeMar DeRozan to the Sacramento Kings.
So walk me through that.
Okay, so obviously you re-sign Malik Monk if you're the Kings, and then you decide to do a sign and trade for DeMar DeRozan, a player who has been on the middling Bulls, a team that was really disappointing for a couple of years, is seemingly going into rebuild mode. They just traded Caruso to the Thunder, and then they traded Caruso to the Thunder for Josh Giddey, a young player who's probably not going to reach his peak for a couple more years. And then you put DeMar DeRozan on a 3-year sign and trade for $74 million, which is less than Isaiah Hartenstein is making, by the way, to play for the Thunder. And you get that for like Chris Duarte, Harrison Barnes, and like 2 second-round picks. Like that's a pretty good deal if I'm the Sacramento Kings, because now you have Domantas Sabonis, who has played like a bona fide star, somehow wasn't selected as an all-star. He was all-NBA third team and wasn't an all-star. Makes no sense. De'Aaron Fox, who has proven that he can be a top 5 guard in the league, maybe top 7 guard in the league.
Averaged 29 points per game last year.
Did he really?
Yep.
Yeah, so let's say top 5 guard in the league. And then we got Malik Monk, who's a very reliable shooting guard. Guys like Kevin Huerter coming off the bench for you. And now you involve this guy who has been capable of being a top 25 player in the NBA for the past however many seasons.
Every season he's been in the league.
He's probably past his prime by now, I would say. I don't think we're going to see him scoring 25 a game on the Kings. But that being said, getting a scorer of that caliber, I do think that it puts them into playoff contention. Now, I don't think it makes them championship contenders, but the West has been so brutal these past couple of years. And although the East is now improving, I still think that this makes them not a play-in team, right? I think this makes them a team that's going to be in the 5 to 5-3 range in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I think that they jump the Warriors, they jump the Suns, they jump the Lakers. I think that they get
I think
up
there's a
above those
real
teams.
argument that they junked the Mavericks.
I agree. I would actually 100% agree with that. We will get to that in a second.
Okay.
I like this move a lot. I think that the Sacramento Kings, as you know, I hope that all of our listeners know, one of our favorite teams in the league.
Yeah.
They become a bit less dynamic with DeMar on the floor, mainly because he gets his points the hard way, right? He goes and gets twos.
He's a transition two guy. Yeah.
But he has, he has 150 less points in his career than Steph Curry.
I did not know that. No.
Isn't that ridiculous?
One has had a significantly a better career. But
yeah, I know. Just a random stat. But so now you have two guys who don't play beyond the arc in Sabonis and DeRozan. I think that means that you have
and even Fox. I mean, Fox doesn't really shoot a bunch of threes.
Right. Yeah, he is more of a playmaker. So it's going to be kind of a congested paint.
But then you have Keegan
Murray.
You have
Keegan Murray and you have Kevin Huerter. So I think that either one or both of those guys are going to have to be on the floor at all times.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, shooting will probably be their Achilles heel if they don't have a ton of shooting. They also don't have, a ton of rim protection.
You know what they do have?
Top to bottom.
They do have two of the best fourth quarter players in the NBA. And and they play in a lot of clutch time games. And now they have two guys that they can go to be absolutely deadly in the clutch.
It's also awesome. It's also awesome that DeMar went there because it takes him away from the Lakers, which is always a plus.
When the Not Like Us video came out and DeMar DeRozan was there, everyone was like, "Oh, he's going to the Lakers," and then he didn't go to the Lakers.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Thank God, because that would have been. You want to talk about the Lakers real quick? I am so sick of hearing about the Lakers. Like, I'm so sick of it.
They're gonna be like a 9 or a 10 seed. They're not.
And they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose to the Nuggets in the playoffs
again.
And Jokic is going to make Anthony Davis his little baby boy. Bronny is going to not sniff the floor. He's not going to dress for the game. He may not be on the bench during the playoffs. He may have to. They may have to buy him a seat that's like 2 or 3 rows back, kind of like J.D. Davison with the Celtics, and have him walk through the crowd for the huddles. So, yeah, dude, between JJ Redick going there, which objectively speaking is kind of cool for the league, but at the same time really sucks. Because I thought that he was a great commentator and podcaster.
Yep.
And
he was a fine commentator. Good podcaster.
LeBron being like, I'm not going to take the max as long as we get a good signing, and then taking like $3 million less and still making over $50 million this year. And then Bronny getting signed.
But did they make a good signing?
They didn't even get a chance.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter. Of course, he's going to take the money if they don't.
Rob Pelinka might not have enough guys to put out on the floor. They're going to be the exact same team. Who have they gotten?
It is literally the exact same team, which is bad. Look, you never count out LeBron James because he's a fantastic player and has been for a while. Obviously, he's not the same as he was.
Nepotism.
5 to 10 years ago. But yes, this team is literally in the exact same place as it was with a new head coach.
So why are we talking about them so much?
Because they're the Lakers. Because Bronny James is there and he sells jerseys, and people are mad that Bronny James signed a 4-year, $7.9 million contract. Guess what? He already made that money back.
Yeah, that's chips.
He made that money back in jersey sales 2 friggin' weeks ago, right? That was a worthwhile investment if you are the Lakers. He's never going to play.
Well, ever. and Tyler Kolek made like $5.8 million as well. So it's not people see $7.9 million. It's a long contract. He's not making a ton of money. It's not crazy.
Well, I don't even know if he'll be in the league after the 4 years. But you can't count him out. You can't count him out because you don't know what he's going to develop into. That being said, he's not doing himself any favors, right? Like missing a second summer league game with knee inflammation and being not shooting well in his first one. Those aren't good things, for your image or your public branding. But so that's
me sleeping on him, by the way.
Nice, I see that. I'm not willing to write him off, yet. He's got lead genetics, and he's possibly,
he could possibly become a player, but like, would he have been signed to that type of contract if he wasn't LeBron James' son or drafted? The answer is no. Everybody knows that, but he is LeBron's son, so he gets that opportunity.
Hey, Dad, can you swing the rock, please? Hey, Dad, can you find me in the corner? I think he's a good player. I just think he should have spent another year in college.
He definitely
should instead of being a serviceable player, become a good player.
But it's cool that he gets to play with his dad for a year.
It is cool. Yeah, it's cool.
And then once his contract's up, you're probably never going to hear anything about him ever again. But that being said, jersey sales, he'll drive him up, and people will go to the Lakers game regardless if they're good or not, to see LeBron James play. And we don't know how many years he's got left, so the fact that they didn't get anyone means to me that they're probably going to try and make some moves still, even though there's not really much you can do at this point. But yeah,
I think they're kind of shipping it in.
Them running it back with the same roster would really be not good.
Can you name a time that LeGM actually worked?
Miami Heat.
I don't think that was him.
Okay, give me an example of LeGM years. Was that just the Lakers years? Because he won a championship there.
I would say like the late Cavs.
Like with the Kyrie, after Kyrie, like post Kyrie trade.
Yeah,
probably hasn't worked since then.
Yeah,
but he got AD to the Lakers, and that got them a championship. So
fair enough. Yeah, fair. Mickey Mouse championship.
No. COVID ring. But yeah, the Lakers are still bad. So talk to me about the Thunder, though.
Yeah, so that's what I was hoping that you'd ask me what my favorite move was, because I was gonna talk to you about Alex Caruso going to the Thunder for Josh Giddey, which is the first time that we have seen a 1-for-1 player trade in years in the NBA, which is a strange one because Caruso's value is way higher than Josh Giddey.
Not even close to remotely the same value.
If you're the Bulls, what is the upside?
I don't know.
What are you doing? Caruso's contract isn't even big enough to offload, and Giddey's isn't necessarily small either. What are you doing?
Giddey, he is a player with some upside. He obviously has really good facilitating capabilities. He can't defend. He cannot shoot. He can't rebound.
So he can pass.
The whole weakness is his basketball thing with Josh Giddey is like kind of a true thing to like how he plays the game. But that being said, like if you're going into rebuild mode, like I guess I kind of see that you could maybe develop him into something useful. He'll never be on par defensively with a guy like Alex Caruso. So I think this move for the Thunder is really good because now you have how many wing defenders?
But hold on, like if you're the Bulls, the Thunder have 14 first-round picks in the next 10 years? You couldn't get one of those for Caruso? You couldn't...
Yeah. You couldn't get anything, any pick, right?
You couldn't even get a second round. You couldn't even get cash consideration. You just got Giddey. And he's 3 years deep in the league now? Whatever.
Yeah.
Huge W for the Thunder. Let's look at the Thunder now. They have a dilemma because they have too many good players and not enough starting spots for those players. Okay. Now, it looks like their starting lineup is going to be maybe Shea at the 1, Caruso at the 2. What do you do with the 3? Are we going to pencil?
Yep.
J-Dub, Chet, and
Hartenstein.
Isaiah Hartenstein. And then that has Lou Dort coming off the bench.
Yep, Lou Dort,
Aaron Wiggins coming off the bench.
Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, the other J-Dub, like
they just have the most fun team.
It's so fun. Yeah, that team is super fun.
And they went to a series that clearly is going to that series that they played against the Mavericks is going to pay dividends for years.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that this is the year that they make a legitimate run. I don't know if they make it to the finals, but I think that they instead of being a young team in the playoffs, they turn into a team in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
We've obviously kind of gone over my Hartenstein take. I think he got paid too much, and that's just because I don't think he's worth. What is 87 divided by 3?
It's 29 million.
20. I don't think he deserves $29 million a year for averaging 8 points a game. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he made some really big plays in a playoff run, but how many times have we seen players do that and then be some of the worst contracts in NBA history? So, like, is it really going to be a backbreaker? No. You're not paying that much for him, and you obviously needed a solid rim protecting big, which I think he can be, to complement Chet. But, like, that being said, I just think you paid too much for him.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what that contract looks like after next season, however he plays. But that being said, I think
it's going to be
this,
bad.
this OKC team is really talented, really, really talented. And they have some of the best defensive wings, or defensive guards, actually, in the league on this team. And, like, in that Western Conference, you really need to have that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the Mavericks. They made a couple moves this year, none of which I think are good. I'm just going to get that out now.
I agree.
You lost arguably your two best defenders on the team in Derek Jones Jr. and Josh Green. Wing defenders are worth they are priceless in the NBA.
Extremely hard to come by. Yeah.
And you just lost one of the best ones in the league in Derek Jones Jr. You just let him walk. You didn't even try to re-sign him.
I agree.
And then in an effort to get Klay Thompson, you let your other wing defender go in Josh Green, who, by the way, played a great playoff series. And last December, I said, dude, I think Josh Green's going to be really good in the Mavericks system. And then he became really good, and now he's playing in Charlotte, and we're never going to hear from him again, which sucks. It sucks.
Yep.
So the Mavericks then signed
you to the Charlotte Hornets.
I'd much rather see Klay Thompson in the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
But now he's a Maverick. I believe he signed for 3 years, 55. We could run the numbers later. And then they picked up, I don't even remember the two other players. They're just mediocre. Like mediocre replacements for the spots that they lost. But I think the Mavericks got worse offensively.
Okay.
And I don't think that they got worse offensively. Let me slow down. They got way worse defensively, and they got a little bit better offensively. But that
the Mavericks
way worse defensively outweighs the offense by
I agree.
a 15-point margin. And the Mavericks were already a team that were relying on teams not scoring 100 or more points in order to beat them. They now have no chance to make a playoff run as deep as they did last time.
I just think you already see, like, I just think with the Mavericks, I just think you already see Klay Thompson regressing, even as a three-point shooter, which is something that he does really well, right? Like, I don't really see the upside to signing him to a $50 million 2-year deal, aside from the fact that it's decently cheap and you needed to improve your three-point shooting. But, like, that being said, like, he hasn't played good basketball this year. Another team that got significantly worse, or not even better at the deadline, was the Warriors. A team that feels like they have to be doing something in order to keep Steph Curry
How much
happy.
worse did they get? They added Buddy Hield,
worse.
which was pretty much as close as you're going to get to a Klay Thompson replacement in the NBA right now. And they added Slow-Mo Anderson, who's just a basketball player. I can't really tell you what he does. He plays at a significantly slower pace than the rest of the NBA.
Yeah, he plays,
Allegedly.
He's a player. Like, he's on a roster.
Sometimes he plays.
he's on a roster. Yeah, his jumper is so incredibly ugly. So ugly. So bad. But yeah, I don't think they got any better, which in turn to me means they got worse, right? Like, they're not going to just waltz into a playoff spot in this Western Conference, which I still think is really deep,
I think that they could have even dropped below teams that are developing quickly, like the Spurs. I don't know.
Who
name
signed
your
Chris
young
Paul,
team.
which means that Victor Wembanyama is going to get 1,000, looks a game. And yeah. and Chris Paul is just going to throw. The memes are like, Chris, I want the ball now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, that team could be, contending soon, which is really weird to think about. But yeah, I think the Warriors, they kind of missed their window there to get any better.
I don't really know if they had like a chance to get much better. It's kind of the end of their reign. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them miss the playoffs entirely next year. But
yeah, we'll see.
I mean, who knows? We will see. They do have guys who I didn't think would translate into NBA players, like Trace Jackson
Davis, yeah,
who are becoming good players. They have Pod, who is definitely a basketball player.
He plays.
He is a backup point guard to Steph Curry.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more as of right now to talk about in terms of NBA free agency. I'm sure that there's still some big players out there that haven't signed yet. I mean, not big players, but I would say role players that haven't necessarily
there
signed yet.
There are players who have not signed
at
yet.
At the top of that list is probably Thanasis Antetokounmpo, has not found a new team yet.
Yep.
Neither has Monty Bates. Pat Bev, Sadiq Bey is genuinely one that should be a good piece on a winning team.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah,
but other than that, I think that's kind of all I have.
All right, cool. So let's play a game. You want to play a game?
Let's play it.
Word. So here's what's going on here. Am I hearing things?
No, my dad's talking way too loud right outside my door.
Okay.
He didn't really pick up on the clues.
No, that's fine.
All right, I'll explain the game. So basically the game is we are going to say a team to each other, and the other person has to say the player that comes to mind as quick as possible when I say that team. So, Alex, I'm going to give you the first one. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Indiana Pacers.
Reggie Miller. I
don't think I would have come up with Reggie Miller in like the first.
That wasn't really a fun one, but
I don't think I would have come up with him in like the first 5 players.
All right, Houston Rockets.
Ryan Anderson.
Nice.
Mine are all Hoop Grids players. They're all super niche Hoop Grids players.
Nice. It's a good start.
All right, Memphis Grizzlies.
Desmond Bane.
All right, that's a good one. I like Desmond Bane.
I agree.
Grizzlies haven't done anything this offseason.
Nothing. But I still think they're going to be fine.
GG Jackson. Ja Morant.
Good players.
They're going to be good.
New Orleans Pelicans.
Zach Edey at 9 was a stretch, but he's going to be a good player in their system.
New Orleans Pelicans.
Herb Jones.
Interesting. Okay.
I
would have gone to Marcus Cousins.
Trailblazers.
Malcolm Brogdon. Really weird one.
That's super weird. Played there for like 30 games.
Great Hoop Grids player. Fantastic Hoop Grids player. Okay. Let me think. Utah Jazz.
Chris Dunn. That's
wow.
That's a really weird one.
Yeah, that's out of the blue.
Toronto Raptors.
Oh, Kawhi. Yeah, Kawhi is the first. You mean the Brooklyn Nets?
Joe Johnson.
Okay.
I have some weird ones for these.
Yeah, why? Not even like Joe Harris? Like Joe Johnson, ISO Joe?
Yeah, because it was supposed to be like a super team with him and Garnett and
it was
Paul Pierce and
it was supposed to be that, yeah.
Yeah. Phoenix Suns.
Dragon Bender. Damn, that's a bad one.
Sucks.
That's a bad one.
Phoenix fans. Yo, Phoenix fans. You hear that? It's the sound of 30 Phoenix Suns fans unsubscribing from our show.
That's a bad one, dude.
We don't have that many subscribers.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Now I'm just scrambling for teams. Sacramento Kings.
Jimmer Fredette.
Okay. Interesting.
LA Clippers.
Ivan Zubac.
Ivica Zubac.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right. It's something like that. It's something like that. Yeah, Ivica. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right. You're right. Charlotte Hornets.
Nicholas Batum.
Wow. Yeah. That's a random one.
San Antonio Spurs.
Wemby comes to mind first. I got to keep it like true. I can't just like say a random player. You know, we're trying to play the game here. We're running out of teams a little bit. Give me the Dallas Mavericks.
Sean Marion.
Okay.
New York Knicks.
Clyde Frazier. Throwback.
That's a lame one.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not super fun. Golden State.
Rick Barry.
Okay.
So you can tell that these are my real answers because I'm just spitting them out as quick as possible. Yeah.
No one in their right mind would ever say that. Yeah. I agree.
Cleveland Cavs.
Isaiah Thomas.
I hate that.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Denver Nuggets.
Dikembe Mutombo?
Whoa. Okay.
I think he played there.
I don't know. I'll fact check that.
I think he did. I think I have like a basketball card of him with the Nuggets uniforms on.
He did play for the Nuggets, yeah.
Yeah.
For 6 years, yeah.
Atlanta Hawks.
5 years. Dikembe Mutombo.
That's a lame one. It's
Also
a lame answer
there.
from you.
Shut up. LA Lakers.
Meta World Peace.
Nice.
Miami Heat.
Dion Waiters.
Good one. It's a good one.
Orlando.
Cole Anthony.
Okay.
Yeah. Wizards.
Denny Advia.
Rest in peace.
Rip.
We going through every team in the league.
We're so close.
We're
Chicago.
close. Joakim Noah.
Okay.
Minnesota Timberwolves.
Jarrett Culver.
Rest in peace.
Rip. Milwaukee.
Larry Sanders.
Oh God. What?
I had his fat head on my wall when I was little. I thought he was like a top 10 player in the NBA. He sucked. I don't know how he got a fat head.
He was not a top 10 player in the NBA.
That's like me putting up a Chris Duarte, fat head in my room. Or like a Patrick Patterson fat head.
All right, last
Detroit
one's Boston.
Pistons.
Oh, Detroit. I forgot about Detroit. Damn it. Jalen Duren.
Good one.
So I'm giving you the Boston Celtics.
Paul Pierce.
Yeah,
it has to
good
be.
Pick. It has to be. The truth. The truth.
That was a fun game.
Yeah,
I like that.
I mean, we could do that for the NFL too, and I don't know NFL players, so that would be like...
If we did that again, I would give you completely different players. I guarantee you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Maybe next episode we play a hoop grid or an iCalled game.
Can you put that like on the thing?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we could do that.
Word. All right. Well, until next time, we'll see you soon. Maybe we'll have a in real life episode this weekend. Maybe
we might. It's possible.
We'll talk about that.
All right.
But at latest, we will see you next week. As always, this has been the Corner Office. I'm Jack Byrne.
And I'm Alex Penders.
Cool. I got a little show for this one.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Check my free throw form.
Oh, goodness.
That's me passing the ball back to the ref.
Back?
Catching the ball from the ref.
Getting it back? Okay.
Still on a 3.
Going on a 3.
Follow through. Hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. As always, we'll be back next week.